support for its NATO ally. But meeting his Turkish counterpart at climate talks in Paris, he also urged the two countries to end their war of words and focus on defeating the common enemy ISIL and bringing about a political resolution in Syria. Despite the heated exchanges of late, President Erdogan now seems to want de-escalation, arguing for a diplomatic outcome that could contribute to peace in the region. But as he spoke, Russia's government ratified a raft of economic sanctions against Turkey over the incident on the Syrian border, which left 2 Russians dead, the pilot and a marine killed in a rescue bid. That's not something protesters outside the Turkish embassy in Moscow are likely to forgive or forget, like President Putin rejecting Turkey's claims the warplane had entered its airspace.
NATO wants to increase security on Turkey's border with Syria. It comes 1 week after Turkish forces shot down a Russian bomber over an alleged airspace violation. Ministers from the 28-nation alliance now plan to send more military hardware to Turkey. The US and Germany recently announced they would withdraw Patriot missiles and military personnel which had been deployed on Turkish soil.
We will work on further measures to assure Turkey's security. And we will enhance our support for partners to increase their ability to defend themselves.
NATO diplomats remain seriously concerned about Russia. Officials there say that Moscow's airstrikes in Syria are helping President Bashar al-Assad. The Russian government denies this, saying ISIL positions are the real targets.
We are now addressing how we can develop, strengthen our deterrence and continue to adapt our military capabilities to a more assertive Russia and to a Russia which has deployed modern, advanced military capabilities.
A NATO source told us that after annexation of Crimea, the destabilizing of Donbass and some unhelpful activities in Syria, Russia is no longer a partner, but nobody is going to declare it an enemy. NATO will have to decide how to get along with large and powerful neighbor. Andrei Biketov, Euronews, Brussels.
The German cabinet has agreed to join the military campaign against Islamic State militants in Syria. Parliament will begin debating the plans on Wednesday, and polls suggest the vote will be approved by the end of the week. If so, the move will mark a major step for Germany, which has long resisted a direct role in the conflict. But Germany's Defense Minister Ursula von der Leyen says the deployment is aimed at preventing further terrorist attacks by ISIL. There won't be a future with Assad, and there won't be a cooperation with troops under the command of Assad, she said. He will have to answer for the fact that he has attacked his own people with barrel bombs and toxic gas, she added. Germany will not join France, the United States and Russia in conducting airstrikes in Syria, but it wants to send Tornado reconnaissance jets, refueling aircraft and up to 1,200 soldiers to the region.
Governments across Europe should share more intelligence, the EU's anti-terror coordinator has said. Gilles de Kerchove told MEPs that countries need to be better at exchanging information if they want to tackle threats such as ISIL.
And pieces of arms.
The only possible often evidence are based on interception, emails, something we can get. And this is not easy because most of the digital evidence are stored in clouds in the United States, and we have to speed up the process and not wait for 8 months before getting the evidence in the best case.
EU nations have been reluctant, however, to share sensitive security information in the past. But lawmakers welcome a recently agreed crackdown on firearms trafficked into Europe.
I'm wondering, seeing the terrorist attacks in Europe, why it seems to be that easy to buy all kinds of weapons inside Europe. So first, they are coming into Europe. You can buy them at stations. Terrorists know the places.
Meanwhile, negotiations are still ongoing in finalising a passenger name record system that would store air passenger data. A similar draft law was rejected 2 years ago.
16 Lebanese soldiers and policemen held captive by Al-Qaeda's Syria wing, the Nusra Front, have been released. The group was kidnapped during an attack on the border town of Arsal in August last year. 9 soldiers captured by Islamic State militants at the time are still believed to be held by the jihadists. The Qatari-mediated deal also secured freedom for a jailed ex-wife of Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, as well as 12 other Islamists in Lebanese jails. The number of migrants and refugees reaching Europe has dropped, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. UNHCR says an estimated 140,000 people came to Europe by sea in November, a decrease of some 80,000 on the previous month. But the organization says it's increasingly concerned by a rise in the number of women and children among those making it across.
The numbers of children and women continue to climb, which is, for us, quite honestly, something of a surprise, and we can only assume that this is a sense of the desperation that families are going through. When you take your whole family with you, it means you don't have schools for your children, you don't have proper shelter, you have no sense of what lies ahead, and it's an indication of closing the door behind you.
The UN